relay your thought with the rest of our viewers. So, Mr. Poku, I was asking for how you expect this matter to travel so that it can help us in effectively dealing with the Galamsey menace.
Well, it's a
okay, we are working the line so we can have details. We can have Mr. Poku to discuss this with. But let's move on and look at what the other stories that the paper has been reporting. Now, the Central Region Police Command has recorded more than 200 defilement cases within 18 months. Now, of the total number, about 147 males were arrested, with some absconding and are being pursued to face the law. A police source told the Ghana News Agency that about 101 cases had been taken to court and 25 suspects had been charged and convicted. It blamed the disparities in reporting, arresting, and prosecution of cases on the lack of incriminating evidence, because the name of the game is evidence, cooperation from victims and families, and legal complexities. The source condemned the act and attributed the rise in defilement cases to poverty and lack of parental guidance and protection of children, very, very important there, which pushed the victims into the hands of pedophiles. So parents who are not able to take care of their children, how, properly manage their kids, tend to push these children into the hands of very irresponsible adults in society who end up defiling these children. So it means that parents do have a huge responsibility here, a huge role to ensure that we are doing exactly what is expected of parents, taking care of your children, making sure that you know exactly where your children are at any point in time. If you don't, take the responsibility well, then your children will be praised for other irresponsible human beings in society. Mr. Kwadwo Poku, welcome back. Now, so
thank you very much. So okay. I'm having a bit of a challenge with electricity this morning, so my lights keep going on and off.
Well, maybe you are in that field, so the sector wants to just...
Yes, I know. When I'm done, I'll be putting a call through to the district engineer, don't worry.
Okay, that's fine. So let's wrap on the Galamsey thing. I was asking you for your thoughts on how you expect that story to develop so that it can help us in dealing with the menace of Galamsey.
Well, the investigation needs to be done, and obviously the investigation cannot be done by the police in that area, since the police are also culpable. So you need the internal affairs of the police in Accra and the Central Intelligence Center in Accra to also get involved. Then the Bureau of National Investigation has to also get involved. Look, unless we are able to arrest, visibly see people in prison, okay? Because I don't know anybody that has been jailed for Galamsey since this thing happened. Do you know of anybody who's in jail for Galamsey?
Well, we are told that, for example, all the foreign nationals who have been arrested, only 2 are languishing in jail. So, for lack of more information, we can use them.
One mysteriously appeared back in the country with the Ghana card, as we've seen in the news. Sure. Look, like I said, if there are all these big men involved in Galamsey, the excavators have owners because they are registered, they were imported, okay? If those people are not punished, the people on the field, if they are not punished, then we're going to see, because we need to go to the root cause, the financiers of these operations. If we now go after the money, we go after the financiers, then we'll stop this thing. If the guy sitting in Accra financing Galamsey is now arrested, put in court and arrested and jailed, okay, then this thing will stop, because it's not about the person on the field doing a Galamsey, it's about the person who is financing it. So if we go after the financiers, I think we can stop this thing.
All right. Now, let's look at the Central Region Police Command recording 200 defilement cases within 18 months. According to the Ghanaian Times newspaper, a police source told the Ghana News Agency that about 101 cases had been taken to court and 25 suspects had been charged and convicted. It blamed the disparities in reporting, arresting, and prosecution of cases on the lack of incriminating evidence, cooperation from victims and families, and legal complexities. The source condemned the act and attributed a rise in defilement cases to poverty and lack of parental guidance and protection of children, which pushed the victims into the hands of pedophiles. Now, we've been dealing with the cases of defilement for some time now. It looks like it's not going to go away. What else can we do to effectively keep this under check?
We've not done anything, my brother. What are we doing? Look at the story. Look at how the story is reported. The story is trying to say that we are going to blame poverty we are blaming the poverty of the victim for the problem. No, there are sick people in this world. And the sick people in this world need to be jailed. You see, it's a country, look, Ghana has gotten to the point where we give excuses for everything. And we make it look like the reason that these things happen is somebody's fault. Or, oh no, it's the society. No. Let's look at the advanced nations, the nations that are 50 years, 80 years ahead of us. You realize that there are more sick people in that society than we have here. And as Ghana develops, as we become a middle-class nation, we are going to see some of those things that happen in those jurisdictions. So we need to be prepared for it. Pedophilia and all these abuse of children is nothing new. You only have to turn on the news in America and the UK to understand what's going on in those countries. There is only one solution. Take away the good from the bad. Jail them. You see, we do not jail people in this country. And that is why we find them lingering around and they will come back and they will go and they will be given bail. Somebody is defiled a child and a person is given a bail. Why is he giving bail?
Because the law says every case is now bailable.
Well, then let's leave in it.
I mean, every crime is bailable.
Well, then that's fine. Let's leave in it. We make the laws, and if we want to make the laws that way, that's fine. Because look, we become a liberal nation. There are some things we need to be liberal about, but I think that at the core of this nation, we need to be conservative. Okay? It is that lack of conservativeness that is causing most of these things. Nobody will travel to certain countries, and I've said it on this show over and over. If you want to do prostitution, the last place you go is Saudi Arabia, because they don't condone prostitution. You know what happens to you in Saudi Arabia if you do prostitution. Okay? In Ghana, nothing happens. You want to do galamsey, come back to Ghana. You want to defile, come back to Ghana. Anything you want to do, come to Ghana. Nothing happens. That is the problem. We need leadership, and that is a problem. There is no leadership in this country at this point.
Interesting. Now, on the page 7 of the Ghanaian Times, it says Ghana High Commission in Pretoria alerts Ghanaians in SA over possible xenophobic attacks. The Ghana High Commission in Pretoria, South Africa, has warned Ghanaians in the country of a possible xenophobic attack this month. And I bring a quote. It says, kindly be advised that lately there has been increasing protest by various organized groups in South Africa protesting against the presence of foreigners in the country. Individuals claiming to represent various groups against the presence of foreigners have announced plans to attack, rusticate, or remove foreigners from their jobs or workplaces, and even out of the country, end of quote. A statement issued by the High Commission said. It indicated that such activities by individuals or groups could degenerate into violence that could threaten the lives, safety, and livelihoods of foreigners. This is not the first time. This may not be the last time we're hearing this.
Well, it's unfortunate.
What haven't we done right that this keeps happening?
Well, it's not about us, it's about them. You know what I mean? People tend to blame their problems on other people. You know, in South Africa, there's restlessness, joblessness, and quite a lot of things that goes on within the ethnic community of the South Africans. Yeah, and they blame foreigners for coming in to take their jobs and stuff like that. Ghanaians, unfortunately, work hard when they are outside the country and lazy when they are in their own country. So when you go to South Africa, Ghanaians are very hardworking. If you go to most countries, Ghanaians are very hardworking. They're only not hardworking in Ghana. The problem is that this is not a general thing in South Africa, and let's put it out there. It's not like everywhere you go in South Africa. It's pockets of these events in other townships and areas. The police in that towns are able to get a handle of this quickly. It's unfortunate, but the good that the news is out there, so all our brothers and sisters in South Africa watching us or have heard the news will be very careful when they are going about their daily duties.
I was even using us looking at the continent as a whole, because we are like one people. Someone can leave Nigeria and come to Ghana and live here peacefully, like as though he's living in Nigeria. Why do we have these reprisals coming up in South Africa? And in 2015 it happened, 2019 happened, and these were very disastrous to the event that people died. So,
but in Ghana we've had similar. Have you forgotten the Kuta? Is it Kuta? When Nigerians are being attacked out of their shops, that they are not supposed to have shops and all those things, and they were attacked on these shops, and the Nigerians were very worried and they were very scared. I mean, I do a lot of transactions and I have a very good cooperation with Nigerians. Most of my close business associates are Nigerians, and when some of these things happen, I take it very seriously, and I always have to reassure them on the other side at the highest level that it's not true that all Nigerians are being attacked, because sometimes that's the message that also that goes out there, that all Nigerians are being attacked in Ghana, but it's not true. The bad ones that come in to do bad things are arrested and sent back to Nigeria, but we need to address this shop issue.
But can we deal with the two as same? Because I know that in Ghana, the law does not permit a foreigner to deal in the retail business unless you're coming with a certain capital. And these Guta people say some people are doing the business that is restricted to Ghanaians. And that's why they say that if you're a foreigner, you cannot be dealing at the level we are dealing at. You have to go a step higher. And again, for ours, nobody was killed, isn't it?
My dear, I beg to differ. An ECOWAS citizen is not a foreigner. You see, that's the problem. The Ghana card you have now, take the Ghana card and see what it says on there. It says ECOWAS card.
No, but the law is specific about Ghanaians, isn't it?
An ECOWAS citizen is not a foreigner. According to the ECOWAS Charter, free movement of people and goods. So if I have a card that says ECOWAS card, how is an ECOWAS citizen a foreigner in Ghana? How am I a foreigner in Nigeria? I'm not. Just that our leaders have failed to live through to the wording of ECOWAS. That's the problem. The ECOWAS thing, we are all planning to have one currency. Today, when me and you buy anything, we pay a levy that goes to ECOWAS. So why are we now saying that an ECOWAS citizen is a foreigner in Ghana? He's not. The only thing that we've done is that there are two laws. We have our trade laws, which is the GIPC and all those laws, that has failed to recognize an ECOWAS citizen. You can't treat somebody from Nigeria the same as somebody from China or Norway. They are not the same people. So if you say a foreigner and you brand a Nigerian under the same umbrella of a Norwegian or a Chinese, the law clearly is wrong because they are not the same.
Yeah, so if they are not the same, then until we cure it with a legislation, it stays the way it is, isn't it? That
now who caused them? Now who caused them? They see that's the problem. You see, people don't want to deal with that problem. Ghanaians are trading in Nigeria. Nigerians are trading in Ghana. We make it look like this thing is new. You go to all parts of Africa, Ghanaians are everywhere doing work. Now, yes, if you have a shop, it's free trade. Now we've even entered the intra-African free trade, right? Where people can now bring in goods freely, no tax and everything. So we need to be competitive as a nation. That protectism, where we are protecting that, oh, somebody is a foreigner, he can't come in and do this. These same people who are trying to send away Nigeria, you go to Makola and Tudu, they have the shop. At the back of the shop is a Chinese man who is sitting there, okay? The shop doesn't belong to them. It belongs to a Chinese person. So what are we trying to say? That we are happy to kick out the Nigerians, but let the Chinese come and own shop, and we will sit in front of the shop just because the Chinese man will give us something small? That's the problem. If we want to live through to the spirit of ECOWAS, let's do that. If not, then let's forget this ECOWAS thing, because it's unfair to be treating people who are supposed to be our neighbors the way we treat them in this country.
Okay. So going back to the South African example, how can we handle it such that we don't have this happening next year? It keeps coming.
Well, it's nothing that we can do as Ghanaians. It's just the South. That's the thing. We can only advise our brothers and sisters in South Africa to be careful. What South Africans decide to do, they decide to do. We just have to advise our citizens there to be careful.
So from international relations point of view, our government and their government cannot do anything about it?
But their government condones it. Their government is 100% against it. His Excellency Ramaphosa will speak clearly that he condemns these things. It's not like the government in South Africa is supporting xenophobia. No, it's just pockets of criminals who take advantage of these issues and act the way they do. So I'm sure His Excellency Ramaphosa opposes this thing. Everybody in the government of this country and that country opposes xenophobia, but it doesn't stop it. It doesn't mean it will happen.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to the Daily Guide newspaper. It says, Elembele, police chief fired over missing excavators. Gold, car stolen from Big Stone mining site. Mahama jabs IMF. Ghanaians warned over looming attacks in SA. Aisha wants businesses closed down. Now, let's start from Mahama jabbing the IMF. It says, ex-President John Dramani Mahama has become involved in a dispute with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, about Ghana's current economic challenges, insisting that bad policies of the Akufo-Addo administration have landed the nation in the woes. Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, recently said Ghana's economy was hurt by exogenous shocks and pointed to the twin issues of COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's war in Ukraine as contributing factors. But Mr. Mahama, however, who is seeking to lead the opposition NDC, took issues with a passage in which the IMF boss looked at Ghana's problems, arguing that the government's poor economic decisions compounded the economic woes of the country. What do you make of it?
Well, it's unfortunate that the very first gentleman of this land who took us to IMF between 2015 and 2019 would now tell the very people when he mismanaged the economy, it was okay for him to go to IMF and they gave him a program that he sat with from 2015 to 2019. But it's not okay for somebody else to go to IMF. And when IMF has diagnosed that they've come in, IMF have an office in Ghana. IMF is involved in our economy more than any other institution because as part of IMF, they do regular visits to the Ministry of Finance and they do their own surveillance of the health of the economy. So if they have given a diagnostic and they've now said that, look, in their opinion, this is what is wrong with Ghana. The first gentleman, the former president, disagrees. But it's okay because what he's doing is politics. There's nothing wrong with doing politics in this country. So I think we'll take that with a pinch of salt and just put it down as him doing politics. The good people of this nation knows what they are going through. I have always said that, yes, some of the decisions that were made in 2017, 2018 by the Akufo-Addo-led government also created this problem because bear in mind, when the MPP became the next government in 2017, Mahama has really messed up the economy, okay? So when Akufo-Addo became president, the economy was bad. We should have admitted the economy was bad, told Ghanaians the economy was bad, and what was needed was austerity. We didn't need to go and do all the promise, and this free spending that we did. Now we've done that. We are back to IMF 3 years after leaving IMF, okay? The fundamentals are that we are not looking at the health of the economy before making certain political decisions. Before you make political decisions, you should look at what you have as a country. So for me, if President John Mahama make that statement, everybody will take it with a pinch of salt. He's doing politics and rightfully so. He needs to win the flag bearership of his party. And that is what he's doing. So let's now look at it as Mr. John Mahama is campaigning for the flag bearership of his party, and he needs to say those things for his party to vote for him.
No, but you said something that agrees with what you're saying. You said that there were some decisions by this government that probably hurt the economy. And that's exactly what he's saying, that you cannot say that what we are going through is only as a result of exogenous shocks. That internally, the government has also taken decisions that have hurt the economy. So you and John Mahama are all on the same page, isn't it?
No, we are not. He is disagreeing with the IMF. You see, there are two different situations. You have to admit You see, he is refusing to admit that the COVID and the Ukraine-Russia war, which is still ongoing, is a factor in the problem where we find ourselves. He is disagreeing with the IMF for making that. I am agreeing with the IMF that, yes, the Ukraine and COVID is a factor in the situation we find ourselves today. But as well, his mismanagement of the economy prior to 2017 is also a factor because the MPP came into power and met a very bad economy. The difference is that you cannot isolate one from the other. Okay. So what I am saying is that, yes, there was some bad decisions made in 2017, 2018. Admittedly, I will say that, and I've said that over and over. Then you now look at the external shocks of COVID and the Ukraine war and Russia war going on now. But he is refusing to admit one, but make sure that he wants to champion the other. That's the difference between me and what he's saying.
Okay, so it's you think that he's doing politics and that's it.
Oh, but what else does he do? But he's a politician. That's what he does. He's running to be the flag bearer of NDC. So you don't expect anything else from what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama does.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Let's do one story here from the final newspaper, and then we can call it a day. Now, tourist regulations, H.E undertakes orientation. The Ghana Tourism Authority, under the auspices of the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, has commenced the National Orientation Training and Advocacy Workshop on the new tourist regulations ahead of full-scale implementation. Well, a workshop to ensure that our tourism sector is put on the right level. But if you look at the sector and how things are going, what would be your take on how we can move the sector forward? Because that is a multi-million-dollar sector that can generate a lot of revenue for the country.
Well, it's sad you bring in tourism into this conversation because that's a sector I'm very passionate about. You know, I have actually worked in that sector between 2001 and 2003. Okay. I was a special assistant to the minister then, the late Rebecca Hawa-Yakubu.
Okay.
I helped develop the website for the ministry that puts all the tourism destination sites and all that on that website. That website was sponsored by Anglo Gold Ashanti. Now, let me say this. Over the years, we have not equipped or resourced Ghana Tourist Board to do what Ghana Tourist Board is supposed to do. There are other agencies underneath Tourism Ministry that needs to be resourced. TDC, the Tourist Development Company, Ghana Tourist Board, and all that. There's a need for proper computerization. There's a need for data collation. There's a need for monitoring of a lot of these activities that goes on there. We keep saying that it's a multi-million, it's a multi-billion, but when you go in there and ask for real data, it doesn't exist, okay? Now, if you look at all these sites, most of the things that falls within the tourism sector is private sector driven. But when COVID came, they were the best, they were the most hit. Okay, the tourism industry was the hoteliers, the tourist sites, all the things, because they literally died. They are now trying to pick themselves up, okay? So if government needed to give support, we proposed that at that time, I have an investment banking arm that proposed to government that they should try and give some level of financial assistance to the hoteliers and to some of these tourism institutions that are very viable and money-making institutions. We've not done that. So, look, two things that needs to be done in the tourism sector. One, collation of data, because there's no data collation in that sector, okay? Because all the planning that needs to be done is based on data. So you need to resource Ghana Tourist Board to do proper assessment of all its facilities that they manage and they regulate. Then you look at TDC, Tourism Development Company. You need to resource them to be able to go out there and invest, partner in some of our beaches. Now you look at Labadi. I'll give you a typical example. In 2002, the then minister brought in investors from Asia to invest in Labadi Beach. I was part of the team that came and negotiated. At that time, the Layouth and the chiefs were at loggerheads. They would not agree for the investment to be done. because the Layut were blaming the chief that they are in cahoots with the ministry, that they will take the money from the investors and the Layut will not get anything. At a point, the Layut actually kicked out TDC from the Labadi Beach. So now, I don't know if that thing has been reversed. The Layut were the one operating Labadi Beach. But 20 years on, Labadi Beach is the same as it was when we came into power 2001. Okay, but if that investment had happened, my brother, Labadi Beach today, one of the beautiful beaches in West Africa and Africa. But that didn't happen. Has that changed? No, we go in there and we see all filth, and it's just the Labadi Beach that we have in Accra, so everybody goes there. So what is needed is investment, collation of data, and the right tools for the agencies, which is Ghana Tourist Board and the TDC, to be able to do the proper regulatory and monitor what goes on in that sector. Okay.
Mr. Kwadwo Poku, we are grateful that you could find time to join us on the news review segment of the AM show.
Well, thank you. I thought we would have had a quick bite on the National Identification Authority letter that they brought out. I didn't know if any of the newspapers captured it.
I can give you 30 seconds to do this.
Well, it's very unfortunate that the National Identification Authority will issue that letter that they issued explaining the issue of how Aisha, the Chinese lady, got the Ghana card. If somebody should be sacked from National Identification Authority. The people in Northern Region should be sacked. The people in Accra should be sacked.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. So that's
Thank you very much.
Kwadwo Poku is an energy analyst, and this has been the news review segment of the show. We'll take a break. When we come back, we have details from the world of sports for you here. Stay with us.
Defected, and this is a goal. An own goal. And Kwadwo Poku celebrating. The scoreboard has credited H.E Mahama with a goal. H.E Mahama turns well. Another opportunity for the 4th. Yeah! And what a goal!